Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Putri Anindia Sofiana. I am English Literature Student 2016 in English Department, Faculty of Languages and Arts, Universitas Negeri Semarang. This video is made for the requirements of my final project in Sarjana Sastra degree in English Literature program. My final project discussed about how the speaker used the language to achieve particular intention of utterance. Speaking about language, it comes from communication. While communication is the most activity people do in daily life, people communicate by sharing their ideas, thoughts, or opinion. People need some devices or media so that communication can run well. And this media is called language. In language, people can deliver their ideas, thoughts, opinion, orders through his utterance. In delivering an utterance, the speaker has communicative intention to deliver certain meaning to the hearer through his utterance. Consequently, both the speaker and the hearer should have a deep comprehension of using language to make the communication goes well. In this case, a study of language to examine how the speaker used the language to achieve particular intention is called speech act. Speech act is one important area of pragmatics, which are communicative acts that convey an intended language function. According to George Yule 1996, speech act is classified into three acts. The first one is locutionary act, illocutionary act, and perlocutionary act. First, locutionary act. Locutionary act is the basic of utterance, or producing a meaningful linguistic expression. If we have difficulty on forming sounds or words, or maybe we are foreign or tongue-tied, then we might fail to produce a locutionary act. And mostly we don't produce utterance with no purposes. We create an utterance with some kind of function in mind, and this is called illocutionary act. And the effect of an utterance with some kind of function in mind is called perlocutionary act. I analyzed the second dimension, which is illocutionary act, that studies how to find out the utterance with some kind of function in mind from the speaker. Speech act can be found anywhere, not only in daily life but also in public speaking. For example, like speech from leaders, politicians, or even celebrities. They have a great strength to pursue or suggest their followers or fans with a speech. The purpose of speech is not only informing an idea or delivering an idea, but it also delivering an intended meaning. In the past, we can remember how Martin Luther King delivered his iconic speech at Lincoln Memorial for the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. He urged America to make the real promises of democracy. If we look back, people have Martin as a politician to represent them. He spoke about African American people problem and to prosecute justice and freedom for them. Now, we have public figure to spread or speak about the problem that faces by many people. On May 17th, 2017, according to NYUT's Pharrell Williams, who is singer, songwriter, performer, producer, and the last year's artist in residence at the T School, delivered a speech that focused on social causes, education, even emphasizing gender equality that the young generation need to fight for, and urged them to continue being straightforward for their belief. Pharrell Williams has been an advocate for women's rights, and his commencement speech at the New York University's class of 2017 was no different, as he shared elements equality at the graduation ceremony. He delivered a powerful speech not only did it touch on the future of the graduates and what they look forward to, it proved to be strongly worded statement on the issue of women's rights. He also speaks about the social injustice and the example of honors accomplishment to give inspiration to the upcoming generation. His speech is inspiring because Pharoah Williams himself is inspirational figures who have gained valuable experience throughout his lives to be succeed. So, in this final project, I'd like to take up the discussion about how Pharoah Williams performed action through his utterance in his speech at New York University's 185th Commencement Ceremony 2017. The next section is reason for choosing the topic. Why did I choose this topic? Because illocutionary act is interesting to be analyzed in order to understand the function and the intended meaning of utterance. Second, nothing of the previous done in analyzing the speech act of Pharoah Williams' speech, especially illocutionary act, and mostly of other researchers analyzed illocutionary acts in movie and novel, while using speech as an object, it's just still a few studies. And the next is research problem. I want to limit the discussion on illocutionary act in Pharoah Williams' speech. Therefore, the research problems that need to be solved are what types of illocutionary acts in Pharoah Williams' speech and how the illocutionary act used in the speech. And the objectives of the study is to find out the types of illocutionary acts in Pharoah Williams' speech and to explain how the illocutionary acts used in the speech. We go to the next chapter, review of related studies. First section is review of previous study. To support this research, I took several related studies, and the first study is from Aquatama and Damanhuri 2016, conducted a research entitled Illocutionary Acts on Chris Gardner's Dialogues in Pursuit of Happiness movie. They analyzed the types of illocutionary acts that occur on Chris dialogues and the function of illocutionary acts and the reason of dominant illocutionary acts that occur from Chris dialogues. The data included utterance from the conversation by main character, and the theory that were applied for this study was the types of illocutionary acts by George Yule. They stated that the most dominant types are containing 488 illocutionary acts is representative act. And from the total data, representative perform actions such as asserting, informing, prohibiting, claiming, and insisting. The second study is from Ratnasari and Edel 2017, conducted a research entitled The Illocutionary Acts in the Novel and the Mountains Echoed by Khalid Husseini. In their study, the objectives for the research are to express and describe the types of illocutionary act and to find out the context that influence in the utterance and to describe the types of illocutionary acts that found in pragmatic analysis. They used Searle's theory of illocutionary acts and Leach's theory of context. The findings of this research revealed that there were 42 utterances and stated that the most dominant types of illocutionary acts is expressive act. Pragmatically, those utterances that contain illocutionary acts in this novel are taken from by society aspects such as social status, age, education level, geographic region, rural or urban residence, psychical condition, and familiarity, which have some specific purposes. It can be seen from the situation, body language, face expression, and manner of the speaker and the hearer. And the next is Wiratama 2017 conducted a research entitled Illocutionary Act on Donald Trump Inaugural Speech. The purpose of this speech is to know the types of illocutionary act which are contained in the U.S. President Donald Trump inaugural speech. The other goal of this research is to divide the direct and indirect speech that found in the script of the speech. The researcher used the speech act by George Yule, and the most dominant types of the illocutionary act is representative act. And the last is from K and Novitasari 2015, which conducted a research entitled The Analysis of Illocutionary Acts in the President Joko Widodo Speech. The researchers found the types and function of illocutionary acts used in President Joko Widodo's speech using Searle's theory for the types and Leach's theory for the function of illocutionary acts. And they found assertive is the most frequently used in the speech. There was a study about the use of speech act in movie script, and second study was about the use of speech act in the novel. There were also studies about the use of illocutionary acts in speech text by two different people, Donald Trump and President Joko Widodo. So there is still a chance for me to do a research on the use of illocutionary acts in Pharoah Williams' speech at New York University's 185th commencement ceremony 2017. So those studies are used in conducting my final project, and those findings are different from mine, and the article are used to make a research gap in making the topic of my final project. So this is the example of my analysis in Pharoah Williams' speech at New York University's commencement. I did analyze the findings with each description, and then in the discussion section, I summarized all the findings based on each type of illocutionary act. For example, first data. This is the first generation that navigates the world with the security and confidence to treat women as equal. Data 23, line 48 and 49. And number 2, your working endorsement for education, data 43, line 80. And the discussion, William uses a lot of representative verb assert to give an assertion about education and the issues of gender equality. He asserts a strong call to action that the upcoming generation need to serve humanity, start by empowering women. This imbalanced situation needs to be changed, so William says that one of the ways to realize equal rights for men and women is continue to fight. And to win the fight, people must have knowledge. Knowledge will bring power, so that education is key. William has long been a powerful and outspoken advocate for women's rights, and his speech represents that these issues are still close to his heart. The next section is theoretical framework. First, pragmatics. I choose pragmatics because we can talk about people's intended meaning, their purposes, which are they performing when they speak. According to George Yule 1996, pragmatics is the study of speaker meaning. It is more to do with analysis of what people mean than what the words or phrases in those utterances might mean by themselves. The speaker applies communicative intention in producing an utterance, as the speaker normally expects that his or her intention will be recognized by the hearer. So, George Yule stated that speech act is action which performed via utterances. I specifically discussed the second dimension, which is illocutionary act. In conducting this study, I used illocutionary act theory by George Yule, which classified into 5 classifications. They are representative, directive, expressive, commissive, and declaration. It provides theory about pragmatics, which includes the theory of speech act, which is directly related to my study. The first one is representative. Representative state what the speaker believes to be the case or not. It can be statement of fact, assertion, description, and conclusions. And the second, expressive. Expressive are those kind of speech act which state what the speaker feels. Expressive express psychological state of mind such as pain, likes, dislikes, sorrow, or joy. And the third, directive. Directive are those kinds of speech acts which speaker use to get someone else to do something. They express what the speaker wants. It includes the act of urging, asking, commanding, and suggesting. The next is commissive. Commissive as the illocutionary act which used to commit the speaker to do some future action at future time. So it conveys the speaker's intention to make an action at certain time. They include the act of promising, refusing, threatening, offering, vowing. And last, declaration. Declaration are those kind of acts that change the world via the utterance. The acts of declaring, naming, cursing, approving, confirming. After that, I applied the illocutionary act by George Yule to the object of my study, which is the speech from Pharrell Williams at the NYU's commencement ceremony 2017. The next part is methodology, the research assumption. This research is qualitative research. According to Creswell 2014, qualitative research doesn't focus on numbers but the depth of the researcher's knowledge toward the study which is being analyzed. And my object of the study is Pharrell Williams' speech at New York University's 185th commencement ceremony 2017. And the next section is procedure of collecting and analyzing data. The first step, I watched the speech video several times and read the script carefully in order to catch the whole content. And next, after watching the video, I split the speech to make it easy in classifying the data. For the next step, I give codes for every sentences that already split into some parts. D is for datum and L is for line. Then every data on the speech is coded by number. After getting the data from the speech text, I classified the utterance into 5 classifications: representative, directive, expressive, commissive, and declarations. And then I analyzed the data deeply based on each type to make a clear explanation. And last step, I described the conclusion of the types of illocutionary acts in the speech. Okay, so this is the example of the table form and figures percentage of illocutionary act found in the speech that I used in showing the result of my analysis. The next chapter is findings and discussion. The findings of this study, I found the total data is 49 data, and they consist of 27 data of representatives, 11 data of expressive, and 11 data of directives. I did not find any commissive and declaration acts. And the samples of the findings are in the following. In the representative, we have verb assert. I like to say that I am forever students, and it's people like this that I will grateful to learn from. Data 7, line 13 to 14. This utterance contains the speaker assertion. Pharrell Williams calling himself as a forever A student, which means that he's just like every other graduate in the crowd. In other words, he would never stop being a student. As a fact, Pharrell Williams didn't finish his college, but he has invested in education, like he held a master class on music in NYU School of the Arts in 2016 as a part of a 50th anniversary artist in residence. He continues with the utterance, and it's people like this that I will forever learn from. And this utterance means that he would never stop learning, especially from those great people who he was standing with. And from directive, we have urge. Be humble but not too humble. Data 33, line 63. Pharrell urges the hearer to be humble but not too humble. This utterance is still related to the previous utterance, which he said that talk about our accomplishment, and it is continued by him saying that be humble but not too humble, which means that We should be humble to the others. It is a good thing, but not too humble, because being too humble is not that good. Being too humble is also not that good because people might underestimate us. If no one hears about the great work we've done, people may assume that we are not doing anything significant. And from expressive, we have thank. And I want to thank all of you for this humbling experience today. This is major, it's heavy. And from expressive, we have sample thank. I want to thank all of you for this humbling experience. This is major, it's heavy. Data 2, line 5 to 6. This data contains expressive act thank. It refers to gratitude. It means that Pharaoh thanked the hearers because New York University gave him a chance to receive a Doctor of Fine Arts degree and let him have an amazing experience again to join a part of the moment for delivering a graduate speech in front of many people. So this is the percentage of existing illocutionary acts found in the speech. 54% for representative, 23 for directive, and 23 for expressive. And the last chapter is conclusion. After analyzing the utterances in Pharoah Williams' speech, there are some conclusions that can be drawn. First, among those kinds of illocutionary act, representative act is the most used act in the speech. It is found in 27 data or 54% data. William motivated the graduates by telling the other honorees accomplishments. Not many people know about the actual work from great people, which is extremely important. So William trying to highlight by using a lot of representative verb tell and assert to give the audience a clear explanation about it. He also asserts a strong call to action to the upcoming generation that needs to serve humanity starts by empowering women. And the other kind of speech act is illocutionary act directive, which is found 23% or 11 data, and William mostly used directive act verb urge. He uses the verb urge to encourage the graduates to do something important as they should, such as to embrace education and close the gender gap. He also urged the graduates to talk about their accomplishment, as in the past, the previous generation worked only behind the scene. Therefore, Williams urged people needs to stop being an anonymous activist. And for the last, the illocutionary act, expressive act, is found 23% data or 11 data in the speech. William uses expressive act sorrow to show his sadness toward the situation happens until now. He expressed his sorrow about people who forgot the real work done by the real movers, and it become worse as their work doesn't satisfy become a headlines rather than those less important achievements. He also uses expressive act thank to show his gratitude toward the NYU people, especially the NYU president and faculty, for giving him a great chance to deliver a speech among the great people and also receiving an honorary as a Doctor of Fine Arts degree. And that's all my presentation for my final project. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.